The following content has been generated with artificial intelligence under minimal human supervision. The data presented may contain errors or inaccuracies. The opinions expressed in this content do not necessarily reflect the vision, position, or values of DigiAll. We recommend verifying critical information with additional sources before making decisions based on this content.
Welcome to DigiAll Tech News. Today is Wednesday, March 4th, 2026. I'm Kylie Brooks, and this is where technology becomes clear and engaging. We've got some intense stories today, touching on how artificial intelligence is reshaping warfare, legal battles over who owns AI-generated content, and the political influence of tech giants. Let's dive in. Defense contractors like Lockheed Martin are being forced to remove Anthropic's AI tools from their systems following a Trump administration ban, despite questions about the government's legal authority to enforce such restrictions. OpenAI is amending its Pentagon deal after CEO Sam Altman admitted the arrangement looked opportunistic and sloppy, as nearly 900 tech employees signed an open letter opposing military use of their AI systems. The war against Iran is showcasing AI-powered military operations that enable bombing campaigns faster than human thought, with critics warning this could sideline human decision-makers in life or death situations. The US Supreme Court has declined to hear a case on whether AI-generated art can be copyrighted, maintaining that creative works require human authorship. AI companies and Silicon Valley investors are spending millions to oppose a former tech executive's congressional bid, targeting a candidate who advocates for AI transparency and regulation. Let's start with the growing tension between the tech industry and the defense sector. The Trump administration has banned federal agencies from using Anthropic's AI tools, including their Claude chatbot, and now defense contractors are scrambling to comply. Lockheed Martin and others are expected to remove Anthropic's technology from their supply chains entirely, not just from government contracts. Here's what's interesting though. Legal experts are questioning whether the government actually has the authority to enforce this ban on contractors' commercial activities. The Pentagon designated Anthropic as a supply chain risk to national security, but attorneys specializing in technology law note that authorities like the Federal Acquisition Supply Chain Security Act typically only allow bans on government contract use, not complete prohibitions. Despite this shaky legal foundation, contractors like Lockheed have pledged to follow the directive because, well, when you rely on the Pentagon's trillion-dollar annual budget, you don't really have a choice. Anthropic, for its part, plans to challenge the ban in court, arguing the Pentagon lacks statutory authority to bar contractors from using Claude. Meanwhile, OpenAI found itself in hot water after rushing to sign a deal with the Pentagon right after Anthropic got dropped. CEO Sam Altman admitted the whole thing looked, quote, opportunistic and sloppy, end quote. The contract raised fears that OpenAI's technology could be used for domestic mass surveillance, prompting an online backlash and a delete ChatGPT campaign on social media. In response, Altman announced that OpenAI would explicitly bar its technology from being used for surveillance or by intelligence agencies like the NSA. But here's where it gets really concerning. Nearly 900 employees from OpenAI and Google have signed an open letter calling on their bosses to refuse letting the Department of War use their products for surveillance and autonomous killing. The letter warns that the government is trying to divide companies with fear that the other will give in. Miles Brundage, OpenAI's former head of policy research, posted on X that OpenAI employees should assume the company caved and framed it as not caving. He added he would, quote, rather go to jail, end quote, than follow an unconstitutional order from the government. The ethical concerns around AI in warfare aren't theoretical anymore. The current conflict with Iran is showcasing what experts call decision compression, where AI shortens the kill chain from target identification to strike launch. We're talking about military operations happening quicker than what they're calling the speed of thought. In the first 12 hours of operations, the US and Israel launched almost 900 strikes on Iranian targets. Israeli missiles killed Iran's supreme leader, Ayatollah Ali Khamenei. Anthropic's Claude model was reportedly used by the US military in these strikes, integrated into a system developed with Palantir that employs machine learning to identify targets, recommend weaponry, and assess legal grounds for strikes. Craig Jones, a senior lecturer at Newcastle University, described it this way: "The AI machine is making recommendations for what to target, which is actually much quicker in some ways than the speed of thought. So you've got scale and you've got speed. That might have taken days or weeks in historic wars. Now you're doing everything at once." Critics warn this creates cognitive offloading, where humans become detached from the consequences because machines are handling the thinking. And the human cost is already visible. 165 people, many of them children, were killed in a missile strike that hit a school in southern Iran. Shifting gears to the legal side of AI, the US Supreme Court has declined to hear a case that could have settled whether AI-generated art can be copyrighted. The case involved Stephen Thaler, a computer scientist who sought copyright registration in 2018 for visual art created independently by his AI system called Dabus. The Copyright Office rejected his application in 2022, ruling that creative works must have human authorship to qualify for protection. Federal courts upheld this decision, with one judge stating that human authorship is a bedrock requirement of copyright. Thaler's lawyers argued the case was of paramount importance given the rapid rise of generative AI, warning that refusing to hear the appeal could irreversibly impact AI development in creative industries. But the Trump administration urged the court not to take the case, asserting that the Copyright Act's references to an author clearly mean a human, not a machine. This isn't the first time Thaler's hit a wall with AI-created works. The Supreme Court previously declined to hear his case involving AI-generated prototypes for a beverage holder and a light beacon. So, for now, if you want to copyright something in the US, a human needs to be involved in creating it. Finally, let's talk about how AI companies are flexing their political muscle. Alex Bors, a New York Assembly member and former tech executive who worked at Palantir, is running for Congress, and Silicon Valley is spending big to stop him. A super PAC called Leading the Future, backed by Palantir co-founder Joe Lonsdale, OpenAI president Greg Brockman, Andreessen Horowitz, Perplexity and others, has raised $125 million to target candidates who introduce AI legislation. Bors is facing attack ads accusing him of profiting from Palantir's AI technology used in ICE raids. The thing is, Bors quit Palantir in 2019 specifically over its work with ICE. So why is the industry so scared of him? Bors sponsored the RAISE Act, an AI transparency bill signed into law in December, which requires large AI labs to maintain publicly available safety plans and report catastrophic incidents. He described it as light-touch regulation focused on disclosure, but Leading the Future opposes any AI regulation unless it's at the federal level. Bors says they're spending at least $10 million against him because they know he's their biggest threat. If elected, he'd be only the second Democrat in Congress with a computer science degree. On the flip side, Bors has support from Anthropic-backed Public First Action, which is spending $450,000 on his campaign. It's a fascinating case of tech workers organizing against their own company's political interests. As we wrap up, it's clear we're at a pivotal moment for AI. The technology is moving from research labs and consumer apps into some of the most consequential domains imaginable: warfare, surveillance, and the very definition of creativity and authorship. The decisions being made right now, whether by courts, Congress, or corporate boardrooms, will shape how this technology develops for decades. What's striking is that even the people building these systems are raising alarms. When nearly 1,000 tech employees sign a letter opposing military use of their own products, that's worth paying attention to. We'll keep following these stories as they develop. Thank you for staying informed with Digital Tech News. We'll be back with more updates as they develop. Stay curious, stay critical, and keep engaging with the technology that's shaping our world.